Walt Disney was born December 5th in 1901 and passed away December 15th, 1966. So I just wanted to give everyone a basis of how old he was and how much he did in the short amount of time that he was around. So everyone knows who Disney is. Disney is a huge part of our childhood. Either it's Disney movies or everyone wanted to go to the Disney parks. It's the most magical place on earth. But what I want to do in my speech is kind of go over more about what Disney accomplished, and not so much his movies, but what he did to become the successful person that he is. So a quote from him is, "Somehow I can't believe that there are any heights that can't be scaled by a man who knows the secrets of making dreams come true. This special secret, it seems to me, can be summarized in 4 C's. They are curiosity, confidence, courage, and constancy." That definitely, to me, sums up Disney as a person. He was someone who was able to, create something magical and something that has survived long past his death and will continue surviving for much longer. So one thing I want to touch base on is that Disney essentially lived the American dream. He was able to create something from nothing. He found animation, and he found that it was something that he loved, and created what we know today as Disney Studios. One thing why I chose this topic and why it's so important to me is I'm a Disney crazed person, I guess would be the best way to put it. Obviously, I love Disney movies growing up. My favorites, of course, Lion King. Most people my age, their favorites Lion King. But also, a lot of part of my experiences later in life involved Disney World. A lot of my favorite memories are family trips to Disney World. I was blessed in having an aunt who is also crazy about Disney, so every single important trip we go to Disney World and spend a couple days and enjoy ourselves. So that's why, and I've also done a lot of research, not just for this, but also I've done a lot of research in just knowing more about essentially my favorite person. But I want to create I want everyone to understand how difficult it was for Disney to create Disney Studios, and we'll go over about Disney's life and how Disney came to be what it is today. So, the first thing that I want to go over is he was born. They were more of a impoverished family. He was born originally in Chicago, and I want to say his family moved to, I think it was Iowa, to work on a farm. While he was going to school, he would do a newspaper route. He'd wake up super early in the morning and deliver newspapers. And then that evening after school, he would deliver newspapers. So he was always considered a not so good student because he was always falling asleep in class because he was up all the time he was working. Another thing is he dropped out of school when he was 16 and tried to join the military for World War I, and they found out he was 16, so they declined him for the military, but he was able to join the Red Cross and help the effort. When he got back, he went back to school and started learning about animation. So the first major thing is he created his first animation studio, and that one actually went bankrupt, which is kind of funny. So it puts emphasis to me on how important it is that even if you do fail, you continue trying. Because even if you fail the first time, that doesn't mean that you fail completely. If you know that you're good at this, then eventually you will be successful. And another quote from him is, "Do a good job. You don't have to worry about the money. It will take care of itself. Just do your best work, then try to trump it." And he definitely lived by that motto. But so back to him in his early years. His first creation that was recognized was called Oswald. And this is Oswald here on the screen over here. So not a lot of people know about Oswald. When people think about Disney, they think about Mickey Mouse, of course. But he was actually the first creation that he made with Ove Eriks, which was his partner throughout most of his designs. And Oswald, the rights actually got taken from him. He partnered with Universal, and he wanted to get paid more money, and Universal didn't want to. And so it actually turned out that they owned Oswald. So he actually lost him and wasn't able to get back the rights to Oswald until recently, surprisingly. It was in 2006. So he pushed through that. So when Oswald happened, he went to live in California with his brother and actually started the Disney Brothers Studios. And they were pretty down. They were doing good stuff. There were things before Snow White, but that was the first major one. And everyone thought that Snow White was going to crumble because he put so much money into it. He was definitely the person to put money into things without thinking about what could happen. His big thing was always making sure that he had a good product. That was the most important thing to him. And so that leads to Mickey, which is who we all know as everyone's Disney favorite. And his quote about Mickey was, "Mickey Mouse popped out of my mind onto a drawing pad 20 years ago on a train ride from Manhattan to Hollywood at a time when business fortunes of my brother Roy and myself were at the lowest ebb and disaster seemed to be around the corner." So even when he was down in the dumps and he didn't know what was going to happen and things weren't looking good and they definitely weren't on the up for either one of them, he created this. And it was funny, he actually wanted to name Mickey Mortimer Mouse, but his wife Lillian talked him out of it and said that Mortimer was too stiff and that he needed to go something a little bit more child friendly. So they named him Mickey. From there, they continued to create motion pictures between live action and fully animated pictures. It was a combination. And it was always difficult for them to get funding because even though they were so successful, people had issues believing in them. So it was interesting to learn about this and how they still had trouble getting the funding even though we think of them as so successful today. And which leads us to the biggest thing, which is Disneyland and Disney World. He had to create a whole separate thing for Disneyland and Disney World because no one had gone this far to create a park that large. So it's impressive what he was able to create in just the 65 years that he was around. And definitely an inspiration to everyone, and not just on the stories and the messages that he put in his movies, but also what he was able to do with what little he was given and how he always persevered no matter what. But in conclusion, I just want to reiterate how important he was and how important he is to everyone. And just about the information that I got, a couple things were from a biography by Louise, her last name's German, so I have trouble pronouncing it, but it's Ludwig or something, and she has done several other biographies on Johnny Depp, and Jon Stewart, and Schwarzenegger, and also on CBS Studios on their biography that they did on him. Thanks for listening.